Welcome to a special drop-in edition of the Worldwide Markets. I'm going to be chatting with Glynn Allen. He's head of Shyft Platform. We're going to be talking around the Shyft Global Money app. New introduction is JSE shares. That was announced at an event at the JSE last week. Glynn, appreciate the time today. I want to talk to JSE shares. We'll get to that. But a bit of history on Shyft. It was about 8 or 9 years ago or so that it was listed?
Yeah, spot on, Simon. We actually just celebrated our eighth birthday a couple of months ago. Um, and as you may or may not know, it's all began with as kind of a forex digitization
Yeah.
platform. So really trying to, enable um, South Africans to kind of access money globally, and not have the restrictions of having to go to branches and get physical forex. So that's kind of where we all started from. And yeah, obviously there's been significant number of developments since then.
Yeah, I mean, it was that. I remember, I think I traveled in about 2014 or so, and the complexity of it, and getting my credit card authorized for overseas and currency and all of
Yeah,
that. And this came along and just made it a simple process. I mean, it's now
yeah,
more than just buying currencies. I got virtual cards. I can get real credit cards. In fact, I used one in Europe a couple of years ago, and it worked seamlessly. Fun fact: my wife's card was stolen on the metro, pickpocketed, because hey, that's what happens in Paris. The replacement card got home before she did. And it just, yeah, now also coming through with shares and the like. And an important point is that South Africans can use it regardless where we bank. This is, yes, it's a Standard Bank
exactly.
product, but it's not for Standard Bank exclusive clients.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Simon. I think that is an important point. As I mentioned earlier, we are trying to give access to all South Africans, and in fact Botswana as well now, more recently. But yeah, I mean that's certainly the point. Giving everyone access to global money. So it extends well beyond forex. We now have the ability, as you mentioned, to create a virtual card and add that virtual card to your Apple Wallet. We have physical cards, as you mentioned.
Mm.
The ability to also send money offshore in a much cheaper way than I think historically, South Africans are used to through the old Swift sort of internet banking type mechanism at a flat fee. And I think that's also become a very popular capability. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, 3 years ago, we obviously launched the offshore investments capability with single stocks and ETFs. Um, and I think we're constantly trying to build out more capability. More recently, as well, the introduction of instant top-ups to your wallet. So when you are traveling, it's just that much easier to now get those funds into your wallet. Specifically because we know that there are a number of users who don't bank with Standard Bank, so they need that sort of more instant card top-up capability too.
Yeah, gotcha. I hear you. Because when I transfer, of course, it's there immediately, but I'm
Yeah,
coming from a Standard Bank account. I want to spend
exactly.
half a minute on virtual cards because when they first arrived, and I don't know who was first with them, and I remember thinking, nice, but I didn't know what it is. But actually, it's quite a wonder thing. I mean, it's the ability to, when I'm buying something online and it's $99, instead of using my traditional credit card and being frankly unsure what I pay, is I've got a card that's right there. I don't need the physical one. I use the virtual one. And I got to say, it's undoubtedly saving me money in fees. I mean, it must be because I've got the $99 in my account. And that's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think, we have extremely competitive transaction fees at only 0.5%. And I think it's also the big aspect, for a lot of people now, the large number of fraud cases that are out there,
Yeah.
is the ability to kind of create that virtual card and potentially only even use it once, for a sort of a high risk transaction, and then be able to just simply delete that
Oh,
card if
wow.
you want to, So I
I
think
hadn't even
there's
thought of that.
quite a number of cases. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's move on to investments. You've got a couple of exchanges already: New York, London, Frankfurt. Last week, the launch of the JSE. I'm going to ask why. I assume because I mean we're in Joburg. This is where we are.
Yeah, exactly. I think mentioned earlier that we started from kind of that forex and global money view and making it easy to invest offshore. And I think, yeah, more recently we kind of realized that there's still a lot of demand and value in using our own local currency. And I think it just obviously made sense to introduce the local stock exchange.
Hmm.
For a number of reasons. There was a lot of customer demand to be able to also, in one platform, be able to decide whether you want to invest locally or offshore. And I think the second one is obviously, giving our customers better ability to diversify their portfolios. And I
Yeah.
think, it's long overdue. So, we're really excited to finally have that additional capability. But we wanted to make sure we got it right.
Yeah, and I think one of your FAQs actually was, "Can I buy the JSE?" And the answer was not yet. And it does. I mean,
Yeah.
it sort of becomes, to your point, it kind of. I mean, it's almost becoming, in a sense, I don't know, the everything app. I mean, I've got my foreign transactions in there. I've got my foreign cards. I've got my foreign investments. Now we bring it to local, and in particularly the JSE. What is pricing on the JSE for transactions?
Yeah. So for our offshore market, as you know, we've always charged 0.4% or 40 bips
Hmm.
on our commission. So we've kept that very same rate for local, so it's still 0.4%. Our custody fees on the local markets are a little bit cheaper. So instead of paying 0.2%, we're now charging 0.12% annually. So it kind of works out to 0.01% on a monthly basis of your
Hmm.
portfolio value. And we've actually introduced a cap, which is a little bit different to the offshore market. So you'll never pay more than 350 Rand a month. And that would obviously be on a very high value, sort of 3.5 million Rand, for example, portfolio. Anything above that would still be capped at 350. So we still think it's pretty competitive. I think it has a nice balance between um, you know, investors that have sort of smaller portfolios who, will only have to pay a couple of Rand a month potentially,
Yeah.
versus those with extremely large portfolios. And I think, as a 0.01% move in the stock market is tiny. So it's very easy to offset that,
Yeah.
that custody fee.
Yeah, and I think the cap's important because I mean I don't know if Patrice
It is, yeah.
Motsepe's got a Shyft account, but yeah, for him it would be a Ferrari every month for his portfolio. Is there a minimum brokerage fee on? I know your offshore markets have, and it depends on the market. Is there a
Yes.
minimum fee
Yeah.
on the JSE?
There is, yeah. It's 20 Rand at the moment. That's our,
Hmm.
our minimum fee, 20 Rand expat. So that would be the minimum. And there's a minimum value of 50 Rand at the moment.
Okay.
I think in the future that's definitely something we'll review, and kind of, we've only been in the market for a week now, as of yesterday. So I think, we'll constantly kind of listen to customer demand and see what we can do to change and improve the experience.
Is fractional shares on the list? I mean, I'm thinking, a
Yeah.
Capitec at over 3,000, an Aspas. I'm not even sure where it is right now, but if you want to, if you got, I don't know, 5 grand, you can only get one Capitec. Is fractional
Yeah.
on the to do list?
No, I mean, as of yesterday, it's only 2,800 Rand, so a bargain now, Simon.
There's that too.
But yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, the local stocks are, that's a really good example of a really expensive stock. And I think it's even
Yeah.
worse on the offshore market. If you look at a Berkshire Hathaway, that's coming in at around 10,000 Rand a share now.
Yeah.
So, there's definitely a need for it for South Africans, and it certainly is on the list. I think we're going to be starting with the offshore market first,
Hmm.
because of the even higher barrier. And then as soon as we've rolled that out, we're going to be introducing the same capability for onshore. So that's definitely on the cards for this year. Yeah.
Gotcha. The one thing, and it's on your offshore markets, it's on the JSE as well. It's not every stock in the exchange. If there's some, I mean,
Mm.
I suppose the question is, if someone out there is like, I need this stock, or perhaps it's an ETF, can they drop a message and say, hey guys, maybe there's some demand for this?
Absolutely. I mean, we do get those requests every now and then, and yeah, typically, we'll ensure that we can actually offer that stock depending on the currency that it is
Sure.
listed in, for example, or which exchange it might be on. And if we can, which 9 times out of 10 we can, we certainly do. We'll add that within a couple of days for our customers. So it's absolutely encourage people to let us know where the demand is, and so that we
Yeah.
can provide that to them. So absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think particularly perhaps in the ETF space where there's some fairly
Yeah,
niche, but someone finds someone found a lithium ETF recently. I'd never heard of it, but it was
yeah.
focusing on battery in essence, and yeah, interesting ETF, but probably not on anyone else's radar. A last question: are you able to share some of the? I mean, we've talked around bringing in some fractional shares and the like. Some of the sort of other plans that are perhaps a little further out down there, but which are on the drawing board.
Yeah, sure, Simon. I mean, you're obviously very familiar with our online share trading platform.
Hmm.
So I think first and foremost, there's a lot of capability, as you know, on that platform, and I think that's kind of where we'll be beginning our focus for the next sort of quarter will be on trying to bring in some of that additional capabilities around auto share invest or tax-free investment accounts, and then obviously more for your sort of trader type of individual. We'll also look at introducing some CFDs for those who want to trade more in the derivative space. So that's already quite a substantial amount of work in addition to the fractionals that we mentioned earlier. So I think that's really where the key focus is in the sort of investments and trader space. And then obviously, there's a whole host of other products that we're always looking to improve on. So we'll also be looking at introducing Google Pay for our Android user base on those virtual cards to
Oh,
bring
yeah.
to bring that in line with the Apple Pay capability too. So yeah, and then as you know, we do have a Botswana customer base as well. So
Hmm.
there's a few things on that roadmap too. But yeah, we'll focus on the South Africans today.
Yeah, no, and to your point, and I mean, some of it sounds easy. You're going to bring CFDs. I think click, but there's probably a
Yeah,
bunch more development in the background for it.
yeah,
Yeah, but we'll leave it there.
yeah. And
That's
I think one last thing to mention, Simon, is just we're also kind of looking at how we can increase the capability on the forex side as well, from potentially looking at some additional currencies, and for those customers that are also looking at increasing their allowance, those who've got the approval to do so,
mhm.
to allow them to use their 10 million rand, up to 10 million rand allowance for forex as well.
What are the currencies? They British pound, it's euro, it's dollar. Is it Australian dollar as well? And then of course ZAR.
Yes, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're still doing a
And last
bit
point
of
to that.
customer research on those the additional ones we'll add based on,
Mhm.
different demand from customers. But yeah, we'll announce that
And an
in due
interesting point,
time.
something which I wasn't aware of. I can actually keep, well, now, of course, because of the the JSE platform. When it launched last week, I tried to buy a JSE share, and of course, I didn't have any rands in my account, and it offered me to convert dollars, and I'm like, no, that's fine. But I can actually keep rands in it as well. I mean, I could do a ZAR
Exactly.
virtual card.
Exactly. Spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll leave it there. That's Glynn Allen. He is head of the Shyft platform. It's the Shyft Global Money app from Standard Bank. They are, along with Standard Bank Global Markets, a sponsor of Worldwide Markets.